I plan on buying more stuff because I know there's going to be some deals because I know the prices on those properties are going to come down or the sellers are going to be taking a beating right now and they're just going to be like, get me the hell out of this thing. And I know it's coming back. So if I can buy it and hang on for another 5 or 6 months after I get it, I think the returns are going to be really good.
This is episode number 57 of the Short-Term Rental Success Stories podcast. Are you an investor that's looking to have your home professionally managed? Go to cohostit.com for more information. Welcome back to Short-Term Rental Success Stories. I'm your host, Julian Sage. This is a show where I talk to hosts about their journeys in starting and growing their short-term rental business. My goal is that you'll be able to walk away with practical information that'll help you become a better host and learn how to scale your business. Like any exceptional host, we all strive for 5-star reviews, so please go on over to iTunes and let us know what you enjoy, as it really helps support the show. If you haven't done so already, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation, to connect with the community. Hey, what is going on, Host Nation? I am super excited to be back again with you this week. In this episode, we have the special honor of speaking with Karen and Scott again, who were in episode number 44 of the Success Stories podcast. So if you go to shorttermsage.com/STR44, you can catch that episode. But Karen and Scott wanted to come back onto the show to help inspire the Host Nation, because right now there is a lot of uncertainty. Even when we had this conversation, I was still not in the best mental place just because of how uncertain the situation was. Everybody handles emotional stress differently, and it's something that we shouldn't take lightly. I know from firsthand experience just what it means to be burnt out and not wanting to move forward. It seemed like for about a month, I was really out of it and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to open my browser tab on my computer and see all the different tabs or all the different things that I felt like I needed to do. I didn't want to touch any of that. I didn't know, because of just the amount of uncertainty moving forward, where I was supposed to be going. When you don't know where to go, everything can seem lost. So here are some of my tips on what I did to be able to come out of burnout. One of those was just putting everything down and just taking a break. I went through a whole show being Ozark. I went through like 30 episodes. That was like 30 hours right there, just laying in bed and watching television. I purchased a VR headset because I haven't gamed in quite a few years. So I bought one of those and just had fun and was really mind blown by that experience. I also started meditating every morning. So before I, looked at my phone or anything, I would just go and sit down and meditate. One of the things that I've been using is this app called Calm. It has guided meditations that are really easy to follow. And if you don't have any experience meditating before, then it's a really easy way to be able to start. I also started journaling every day and just spilling out whatever is on my thoughts. If you're religious, then now's the time to be praying. I pray every morning, every day. I read the Bible and I just take a moment to, thank God for what I do have. I didn't force myself into trying to do anything that I didn't want to do. I also slowly started integrating more work into my life. So while I had my tabs up now, I was also watching Ozark. But what really kicked it off and what helped me to really start moving forward was when I found that inspiration again. One of the members of the Host Nation family actually reached out to me. He was a longtime listener and said, hey, Julian, something's up. You haven't been right. Your shows aren't right. The way that you're talking isn't right. And, really just kind of like a check myself moment. And I had to think about why I started this show and what I wanted to do moving forward. Sometimes when you lose sight of where to move forward, you have to take a step back and remember where you came from. What are the reasons that you started hosting? What are the reasons why you wanted to be able to reach financial freedom? Why did you take that job in the first place? A lot of my podcast friends are also being impacted. I think right now is the time more than ever that we should be preparing ourselves and helping to get ourselves ready for what is to come. I lost sight of moving forward and the direction of where I want to go. But it wasn't until that I got re-inspired and excited again about the future and about the possibilities that I had that fire kind of come back to me. I now know moving forward that I have to be a little bit more careful and treat myself better. This past year has just really been grinding with the show, but it's exciting when everything is moving up and there is a clear direction. But when there isn't that clear direction, you really need to fall back on the reasons why you started doing the things that you did. So that's why I'm excited to have Karen and Scott come on to help inspire us and to help share their experience in hosting and being, heavily involved. Karen and Scott own quite a few short-term rental properties. Their whole strategy is purchasing these properties. So they have a lot of mortgages, a lot of responsibility. So we talk about, their mental state and how they're handling this situation moving forward. If If you like my show notes for this episode, go to shorttermsage.com/SDR57. Or if you like my show notes sent directly to your inbox every week, then go to shorttermsage.com/show notes. With all that being said, on to this week's conversation. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Short-Term Rental Success Stories. In this episode, I had the special privilege of being able to speak with Karen and Scott. Once again, Karen and Scott, if we go back to one of their previous episodes, back in episode 44. So if you want to listen to that episode, go to shorttermsage.com/STR44 to listen to Karen and Scott's story. But please, if you wouldn't mind giving yourself a brief introduction about where you are, how you guys are kind of handling this whole COVID-19 situation. And let's hear from you.
Well, we're here in lockdown in Vermont, much like probably all your listeners are going to be if they listen to this anytime in the next week or two. We're doing pretty good, though. I think that it was a little bit of a shock to the system. We have properties in Gatlinburg. We've got some in Biloxi and very sobering. And but we're still here. We're planning on sticking it out for the long term. We are not giving up. We're pretty well invested. We're actually planning on buying a couple more, but I think we're going to hold off on that. So we went to Panama City last weekend to look at a couple of different condos on the beach because we had some money coming out of a 1031 we're in the middle of, and we've decided to wait. So we've got 45 days in the 1031, and I think we're going to wait until I think we'll probably have till like the third week of May before we actually have to go under contract. So I think by then we'll kind of know where this thing is going to head. Hopefully it will have peaked by then and we'll see kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't really think anyone's going to swoop in and buy those two things that we want because I think everyone's kind of like we are now in kind of a wait and hold mode, and if worst case, if it's still really bad and we don't think, it's going to pick up before the end of the year, we'll probably just pay the tax penalty and keep the money in reserve and wait and buy something later.
So where were you guys right before this whole situation occurred? Were you planning for something like this? I mean, majority of your portfolio is you purchase properties. Were you planning on purchasing more right before this happened, or did this just kind of blindside you?
So we were planning on those two that were Panama City Beach that we went to look at. I mean, that was the plan. And that's why we went down there. Cause I'm actually surprised that this is at the time when it first happened. I thought it was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks. It was going to be over because, summer in Florida, June and July are the peak months. So I said, let's get in there and let's buy them. Once we realized that it was going to take a lot longer for this to pass over, we decided to put the brakes on. But I still think there's opportunity for this thing to clear up. Right now, we're just trying to shore up what we have because we do have mortgage on properties. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to pay those. We've got some reserves that are set aside. And I know that a lot of the banks are giving folks extensions, 3-month extensions right now with no impact to your credit. But I'm trying not to do that. If we could get away with just paying these things outright for a couple of months and survive that way, that would be good.
What are you doing? Because I mean, having 10 properties that you own, I mean that's a lot of money. That's a lot of that you owe to the banks. Are you worried about this, or how are you just even emotionally handling this type of situation?
I'll be real candid. I have a performance coach that I work with, and kind of has made all the difference in sort of keeping the long game in mind. I try not to get mired down into what's going on every day and try to really remember, like, why did I get into this in the beginning? What are my long-term goals? And really try to just focus on the end game. I still have a W-2 job, which I'm very grateful for, which will help us. And then again, we did have some reserves. Worst case, I can still call the banks and ask for a 3-month delay, but I'm hoping that, by mid-May, people are booking again. I mean, we both think that when they say you can go out again, I think you're going to see an explosion of bookings because people will have been cooped up at that point for like 12 weeks and they're going to need to get away. And I think that the demand will be there. So it's just getting through this next couple of months and paying the mortgages on all the properties and things. We're trimming all the expenses in the portfolio right now. So I think I'm going to let my virtual assistant go. I'm putting a lot of the automated tools on hold because I have no bookings coming in. What do I need them for? I mean, if I were to get a reservation or two here or there, I'll just respond manually. I have a lot of saved messages and stuff that I can use. So I figured I've got a lot more time on my hands now because I'm working from home. My company has allows me to work from home, which I'm very fortunate for. I don't have to drive anywhere though, so that's like another 2 hours back in my day that I can use if something like that comes up.
I know lots of people are talking about different strategies on trying to get bookings or converting to long-term rentals or finding traveling nurses and such. Are you doing anything in your business, or are you just kind of letting things happen as they are?
I think for the property that's down in Biloxi, there might actually be a market for that because there's a couple of big hospitals around there, and I do intend to market that to traveling nurses. The properties that are in the Smokies, really no traveling. I mean, that's a vacation destination for families. There's really not a market for traveling nurses there. So those are just going to have to wait. And we did keep going. So my husband is not able to work right now because Vermont's on a total shutdown. So was in construction and was building a rather large home and had to stop work there. And so he's home now
working on the house.
working on the house.
We are going to convert our house to maybe long term, 30 days. We're trying to, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so we're putting in a couple of new bathrooms, and so every room will have its own bath, and we're going to try that here first.
So right now you're saying that the strategy that you're trying to implement is after this whole situation kind of rolls over, you think that it'll pick up? Do you have a plan in case, let's say things don't pick up the way that maybe we anticipate? Do you have any backup plans already set in place?
Not really. I don't want to sell anything because I do think it's going to come back. Our plan is to just hang on. I mean, if I had to, I could tap into my 401k. I definitely don't want to do that. That's the absolute worst case resort. But I mean, we're both still working. We both draw pretty good salaries. So we would have to trim out our expenses here at home a little bit and maybe not go out to eat as much and stuff. But I think we can hang on and just continue to keep the portfolio expenses down and do more. A lot, like I said, a lot of the automation we had put in place, we would be scaling back on. But I mean, we're still real bullish. I'm trying to get my realtor's license. I'm studying for that like crazy. I fully intend to go ahead and be licensed for that. Hopefully by the middle of May, if the test center is open, that's my plan, to take the test and get licensed and start selling short-term rentals here in Vermont, up near Killington. So I'm going to keep going. I think the market's going to be there. I don't think people are going to stop traveling. People will, especially to ski towns and stuff like that.
Listening to, I know that you're part of a lot of different groups and you're also, getting the personal development help. Have you heard anything, or was there any advice or anything that maybe someone said that really spoke out to you that's helped you through this time?
You know what my coach said to me, and I thought it was funny because I'm a driver. I just go. And I was talking to him about feeling a little bit lost and feeling like I have all this time on my hands and I feel like I'm not really making forward progress as fast as I want because I kind of can't, right? And it was funny. He said all of this stuff, he thinks there's a big shift coming in the economy and in the world at large. And he said, it's time to slow down. And he said, you need to go sit down and just relax and watch some movies. He said, it's a very stressful time. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of change, and it's hard for humans to adapt to change. And he said, just take some time to yourself. He said, it's really important. He said, all of this stuff is going to be there when this thing straightens out. And I thought it was really funny because this is a guy, he's a performance coach. He's supposed to be cracking the whip on me. And he told me to kind of kick it for a little bit and get my wits about me and kind of recenter and then move forward. So I thought that was really helpful because until he said that, I felt very lost, very frustrated and anxious. And I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park. It is scary having all those mortgages and all those properties, but I mean, you know what it's like. I mean, I know you guys, we're doing the arbitrage model, and that's got to be a little bit scary for you as well.
I just wanted to get you on the show to share. Was there anything that you did have in mind that you did, like, let's say there's somebody listening right now that is feeling overwhelmed or feeling stressed. Maybe they felt like everything was go, like you said. Karen, I think we speak a very similar language in that we're always trying to move forward. And then when something puts that stop on the brakes, it's just like, man, like it's a shock to the system almost. If there's anybody else that maybe is in a similar situation, what would you tell them?
Take a deep breath. Is blasé as that sounds, you really have to take a deep breath, take a couple steps back, re-examine your goals, figure out, ask yourself, what was the real motivation for me to get into short-term rentals? What am I trying to do? Because candidly, there are going to be people exiting the market. You and I both know that. I think this is going to kind of uh, sort it out quite a bit, and you're going to find the people that are left standing. I think there's going to be deals to be had, particularly if you're in like a hosting model. I think you're going to see a lot of people who were hosts maybe want to hang on to the real estate but not host anymore, because working with all those people and those cancellations has been really tough. People have been brutal in some cases when they've wanted to cancel. So I think it's going to thin out the herd. I think hang in there, because I think opportunity, massive amounts of opportunity on the other side of this thing. If you can just hang on and stay to the long game, I really think there's a ton of opportunity. And we're all going to get smarter about this. I mean, in a couple of years, the people that are left standing are going to be very, very smart and very savvy, and a lot more opportunity there. And that's, I totally believe that. This is going to scare a lot of people away that were just kind of in it to make a quick buck, versus like people like you and I who are really into it for the long haul. And, this is our business. This is my plan to retire. So I'm in.
Do you plan on picking up any other strategies? Different markets have different types of different cycles in real estate. Are you planning on implementing anything else? Are you going to be purchasing more properties you believe in the future if things go down? Would you be, exiting those, or just doing long term? Do you have any plan on moving forward?
I don't really care for long-term rental, so I don't think we're going to go there, because those folks are struggling just like us, right? Like people are unable to pay their rent, and you've got the wear and tear on your property. So I don't think we would ever become long-term focused. I think that I plan on buying more stuff, because I know there's going to be some deals. That's the other reason why I'm waiting to the end of my exchange period, because I know the prices on those properties are going to come down, or the sellers are going to be taking a beating right now, and they're just going to be like, get me the hell out of this thing. And I know it's coming back. So if I can buy it and hang on for another 5 or 6 months after I get it, I think the returns are going to be really good. So I don't think we're really going to change our strategy too much. I like to buy my properties and hang on to them. Not so sure I want to do a ton of co-hosting. We'll have to see. My idea with becoming a realtor, I'm still moving forward on that, would be to sell short-term rentals here in Vermont in the ski areas. There's nobody that really focuses on that and understands. Like if you're an investor looking to buy a short-term rental, there's certain pieces of data you want to have in your hands. And every realtor I've worked with has no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to present the property. I think there's a huge market here for that. So I think that's going to be my plan. I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah, I think that there's, like you said, there's a lot of opportunities that, even within the short-term rental niche, like you said, if an investor's coming to the particular area, like we have another host that comes on the show, Irina Roth, and she's in the St. Petersburg area. So there's no other people really in that area that are short-term rental focused. So to be able to have someone in different markets that really knows that area, like I know was it the Gatlinburg area? You also have Avery Carl.
Yep.
She's very popular within that market. So that's really good that you're looking for different tools for your tool belt to be able to diversify yourself. Is there a reason why you're moving towards, a majority of your portfolio, I believe, is kind of the Midwest, but now you're looking at the Florida area as well?
So the Smokies, before Corona came along, it was very hard to buy anything there. The returns are really good, but I mean, cabins would go on the market, and in a single day they would have multiple offers on them, and the sellers were not making any concessions. Like you were just having to buy stuff that you were going to have to put money into. And our model is buy turnkey. Just too much competition, too much stress. Panama City Beach, if you have ever been there, it's very much like Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forges. There's a lot of family focused activities. You have the beach there, obviously. It's a really great environment. They've done a lot to clean it up. So I see it as kind of an up and coming area. I do think that the town in particular is working really hard to get rid of that college vibe. You're not allowed to drink on the beach in March at all, which has really changed the dynamic. There's no more spring breakers that go there to party like that. So I do think there's a lot of opportunity there. They hardly have a shoulder season anymore. It's starting to look a lot more like Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg shoulder season is like January and February right now. And I think Panama City is going to be the same way. And in January and February, you just put a snowbird in there, someone who wants to stay for the whole month. And, at least you've got somebody in it covering its expenses for that month. So that's why we're going there, just because I think that it's kind of at the bottom right now. And I do think it's going to get a lot like Gatlinburg. It's going to shoot up. So that's why we went.
Awesome. And what are you guys doing at home right now during this cool down period? Is there anything that you're? I don't have to give me too much detail, but
besides eating,
what is some of the
and more eating?
Yeah. What are some of the things that you're doing?
On the house.
We're working on the house. Yeah. Yep.
Getting it ready.
Getting ready. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that you do want to share with the audience? Any last words? I'm really grateful that you guys came on here to share some of your positive outlook, but is there anything that you would want to share with the host nation?
I just want people to stay in it for the long game. Don't get too scared. Don't watch the news too much. I notice a completely different feeling throughout the day if I get on my phone in the morning and I read all this crap about the coronavirus. Don't look at it. Like, I know you got to stay informed, but maybe like watch it for like 10 minutes at night, get the little nuggets you need, and then get off, because I think it's so hyped up and there's a lot of misinformation out there and it can really make you depressed. Just stay away from it, because there's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to change any of it. You just have to kind of build up your reserves, and both mental and monetary if you can, and be ready to pounce when everything comes back up, because it's going to come back.
And what about the Facebook groups? I know that you're pretty active on Facebook and all the Airbnb short-term rental groups. Is that something that you're staying away from right now, or have you noticed a shift in there?
I still get on the ones that I own property in. So I get on the one in Gatlinburg, the Smoky Mountain Vacation Rental Owners, just to know what's going on in the local area, because I have no idea what's going on down there. And I'm still plugged into your group, kind of listening to everybody, but I try not to do that too much either, because honestly, I get anxious. I'm like, oh my God, this could happen to me. And, and that's just, maybe it won't happen to you, So I try not to participate in it too much, but you kind of have to, like, you just have to, you got to know what's going on. So I try not to do too much of it, though. Really, we're trying to focus on what's going on in the house and get the house ready, and just stay busy doing that, because like I said, there's going to be an end to it, and then we're going to be really well poised, so that's the goal. Just be ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen and Scott, for coming on here and sharing your experience and being honest about the situation. Not everybody has all the answers. There's really nothing. There's no magic pill that's going to fix everything at the moment. But just being real and being optimistic, I think is the best approach right now.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we jumped at the opportunity. Love chatting with you. Love to see your smiling face.
Yeah, thank you so much. Are you going to be at the next Bigger Pockets event?
We are going. If they're going to, so it's in New Orleans, and New Orleans is ground zero right now.
Oh yeah.
We were actually just talking about that, if they'll still continue to have it there. But yeah, we're planning on going for sure. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys there as well.
You sure will.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
You too.
Until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting. Hope you hosts benefited from the show. If you found value, please go on over to iTunes, leave us a review, and let us know what you enjoy about the show. If you'd like to talk to hosts that have been featured in these episodes as well as the community, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation.